Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So we have a lot of information to go over today. There is a potentially very large winter storm. I'm sure most of you have heard the Northeast may be in for the largest system they've seen in a few years. So that is definitely going to be significant, but there's no need to stress or panic. Just know and be aware of what the threat may be, and hopefully I could provide a brief phone's going off. A brief kind of overview of what's to come. But again, for the best info, National Weather Service is the best. Otherwise, if you guys enjoy this channel, you like what you see, consider subscribing. I do weather-related content, and I'm a weather enthusiast. So if you are a returning viewer as well, liking the video would be awesome. Otherwise, let's get started to talk about this. Again, I do want to emphasize that for official information, especially with such a large storm system, always go to the National Weather Service. But I do encourage to look at other sources, see what other people have to say, and hopefully I could show you what my thoughts are on it. And let's just get into this. So now we have this system right now. It's really in the mountains in the west. It's not a coastal storm yet. What we did have was a bit of snow occurring across the Northeast today. If you did get snow today across the Northeast, please let me know. I would be curious to see how much. Generally, as I looked at the snowfall reports, there was pretty good amounts of snow across extreme eastern West Virginia and maybe portions of northern Virginia, the mountainous areas, seeing 6 inches plus. Generally, though, a lighter event, especially towards Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania. Though, 1 to 2 inches did fall, which obviously was not the main system. And I do want to show the amounts from a couple days ago. These amounts right here were just ridiculous. Very heavy snow. And these areas may be on tap for some more snow. And I do want to go over that quickly. Let's go to the European model. So notice right now the low pressure is sitting across the mountains. It's already moving out a bit more, but it's going to continue to do so. This is at around 2 o'clock in the morning Tuesday. So right now I'm recording this as of Monday evening, and this is now going to be Tuesday, 2 a.m. So really, you may be even watching this video at this time for those night owls. But notice that as we push into 6 o'clock in the morning, we start seeing light snow. This could be a bit more impressive than what the European model is showing in terms of coverage. And the snow won't be heavy. It won't be a foot or even half a foot of snow. There will be generally a dusting 1 inch to 2 inches across Nebraska, maybe Kansas. Further across Oklahoma and Texas, there could be heavier amounts, but up here, it could be a pretty widespread event, but very light. And notice that's what they kind of indicate, some snow showers. This is tomorrow at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then look at that. We have Oklahoma under some pretty heavy snow, the Texas, southern Kansas also seeing some snow, and again, Oklahoma City seeing a bit more snowfall. This pushes into portions of southern Missouri, really maybe just snow showers, nothing accumulation wise. Notice that we push snow into Indiana, Ohio. The European model doesn't show a lot of snow, but some high resolution models show even some surprisingly high amounts for these locations. It shows some high-res models show 3 to 5 inches across southern Indiana. Again, I don't think that will happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. Notice that this system really now, this is late, 2 o'clock in the afternoon Wednesday, it really starts picking up in terms of intensity. We see loads of rain and moisture streaming from the Gulf of Mexico and off of the Atlantic Ocean. A very, very heavy rain again. Thunderstorms, widespread, moderate rainfall. And once this moves up the northeast, look at that. I mean, really, this thing isn't that strong in terms of millibars. It's not deep low pressure, but it has so much moisture and enough cold air to where it could produce, and most likely at this point, it's looking like it will produce very, very large snowfall event. Now, notice, this is a rather quick moving system. It doesn't really slow down. This is Thursday, now 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when it'll probably be the worst. Wednesday night into Thursday morning. It will be probably the worst for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, into portions of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And those locations will be seeing very, very heavy snowfall rates. Again, I mean, you can see this thing quickly moves off, and by Thursday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, This is what it looks like. Mostly done. Really, maybe just Cape Cod seeing some snow. Long Island, extreme eastern Long Island, and portions of southern Maine. But that would be it for that storm. And I do want to emphasize that while this storm is not strong in millibars, it's still relatively packed by the coast. The coastal areas will probably be have blizzard warnings issued. That's what the National Weather Service is kind of debating right now. There will be gusts over 45 miles per hour, and based on just that, most likely blizzard warnings will be issued, because when you have strong winds, you know, the visibility is going to be dropped, and that's really what it takes to be a blizzard. The visibility needs to be down for several amount of hours, which the storm will be long enough to do so. The winds will be strong enough, it seems. Again, I don't think there will be a widespread blizzard warnings, but again, I do think that maybe even New York City may get under some blizzard warnings. Alright, so let's take a look at the snowfall amounts. And now I will zoom in on this, because yesterday people told me to zoom in on these amounts. I do want to emphasize this is just one forecast model, so it is not a necessary depiction of the official forecast. Notice this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, so pretty safe. Usually is probably the most accurate without underdoing or overdoing significantly. Now notice the European model, which I would say again I think is doing the best job, has Boston seeing almost 7, 8, 9 inches, so significant event. New York City obviously is the big talk, 14, 15, 16 inches. New Jersey, again, this is where the cutoff will be sharp. I know I have a few folks, quite a bit actually, from Delaware, maybe southern Maryland, New Jersey. Look at that. This model shows 0, 0, and then that quick, 20 miles from 2 inches to heavy snow. Where that exactly sets up will be unknown, and probably even while the storm is occurring, it will only then be kind of determined. So definitely for those right here, keep an eye on the forecast, because it may be a big bust or boom. Though it seems as if New York City, most of Long Island will be seeing that heavier snow, and even if it does shift a bit later, it will still be one of the bigger events you've seen in the last few years. Because right now, look, 15, 14 inches, southeastern Pennsylvania, look at that, possibly peaking in Pennsylvania. And some models have heavier snow towards northeastern Pennsylvania. Again, it's still relatively a big event. Would you push into southern New York, lighter amounts? But the National Weather Service is showing heavier amounts than the European across northeastern Pennsylvania based on other models. Notice even areas over 2 feet are not out of the question. Notice northern Virginia seeing amounts 16 inches towards the north, and then lighter as you go towards the south. West Virginia, some pretty heavy amounts as well, especially towards the east. Charleston has 5.5 right there. Again, pretty sharp cutoff, we'll have to see. And for the southeastern United States, or sorry, more mid-Atlantic, so I could show you the Carolinas. I know I do have folks from Carolinas asking. Maybe extreme northern North Carolina seeing a bit of snow, right, but anywhere else not much. Indianapolis, Ohio, Cleveland, these locations, you could see you will get snow, and the European puts out 1 to 2, which I think is honestly pretty decent forecast. So now let's take a look at a different model. Let's, for example, look at the GFS, and I won't run it through because I don't have honestly time to do so. This video would be way too long, and I have a lot of information to go over. Notice GFS puts out a bit more snow across Indiana, right, 2 to 3 inches, but it's less widespread. Again, I don't think the GFS has a good handle on this, though it still shows quite a bit of snow. Notice it varies quite a bit, shows more towards northeastern Pennsylvania or northern central Pennsylvania, a bit less towards northeastern Pennsylvania, more relatively to what it's showing in northern Pennsylvania, but still less compared to the Euro. Across southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, again, northern Virginia seeing some snow, and still New York, 14, 15 inches. New Jersey, the GFS has more of the southern locations seeing the snow. Now we can have a scenario where we have more snow to the south, and it's more of a European type of model run. So the GFS is showing more snow towards southern Jersey, but we may have a scenario like the European shows, just the rain snow line further to the south. Or, the opposite. And notice that Boston with this GFS shows 4 inches, so much lighter amounts, and definitely not as significant. Maryland, you could see 15, 16, 17 inches. Delaware, northern locations, yes. The southern locations, pretty unlikely. Now, again, that's just the first storm. There will probably be many more throughout this winter if this pattern upholds, which, again, I told you from the early fall that, or later fall, that the pattern looks active, and it was only a matter of time before we start seeing snowstorms, and that seems to be the trend. Will it uphold? Hopefully. This is the newer, if you will, GFS model run. You could see relatively similar data. The GFS has stayed stubbornly consistent, a bit less across southern Jersey, a bit more towards Boston, but again, relatively stubborn. Still very high amounts for New York City and Philadelphia and otherwise. Now, let's take a look at the GFS. Well, no, this model actually never did come out. It was a bit delayed. So I showed you, did I show you? No, I didn't show you the Canadian. All right, so the Canadian is the one that takes this definitely the most aggressively. For Indiana, Ohio, lighter amounts, and that's consistent with most models. Exact placement is a bit uncertain, like the rest of the storm, right? But notice it's more centered towards northeastern Pennsylvania rather than northern Pennsylvania, and a bit further towards the south than the European. While if you live in portions of New York City or Philadelphia, it looks, whichever model comes true, it looks as if you'll be in for heavy snow. And same with Hartford, Providence, Rhode Island, southeastern New York. But again, there are several cities that are on the kind of cusp with this, and for example, Washington D.C. may or may not see a heavier or lighter event. Southern New Jersey, the southern tip, again, it's gonna be hard. You could be going from a 0 amount snowfall to a 8-inch within 50 miles, and then add another 50 miles to 100 miles, and you're within a you're within 16 to 17 inches, which is a big, obviously, difference. But that's typical with nor'easters. Look at that. I mean, look at that thing. 1 inch, 6. I mean, that's just a very big difference. See, you can see the Canadian cuts down amounts a bit across Long Island. Still a pretty heavy snow event. Definitely the largest one you've seen in the past 5 years. 2016, that's the last time that was a significant storm, that winter storm Jonas. I don't think you will see 27 inches like you did with that storm. However, if you look at the Cuchera, which is supposed to be adjusted, notice it shows very high 30s, over, in some locations, over 3 feet of snow. Again, be cautious with this. Really, that's sometimes, historically, honestly, from what I've seen myself, the Cuchera often either underplays significantly or overdoes things. More often, overdoes things. And I think in this case, it's overdoing things. So this is more plausible, again, with the Canadian run. Notice, even into southern New Hampshire, places right there could be seeing up to half a foot of snow if this takes this track. Again, the models are differentiating, and for the best information, National Weather Service will provide you with that data. I'm here just to provide a brief overview. Now, this is the NAM. This is a high res, and let's go to the 18Z. That was the 12Z, and if you recall, well, okay, so just go back to the 12Z. Notice it took it a bit further towards the north. You could see way more into southern New York rather than New York City. Still a pretty large snow event. But with the latest model run, it has shifted that towards the south, which is giving us more confidence again that the global models are handling this pretty well. Quite lighter amounts for areas like Philadelphia still with the NAM, but again, I wouldn't say the NAM has the best handle on this, to be honest with you, especially since what we saw right there. It's been jumping around quite a bit. But still, again, large snowstorm. Where this exactly lines up, for which cities will this be a large snowstorm, it's a bit unknown. Especially for, obviously, if you're on the line. New York City, Boston, Hartford, Providence, Philadelphia, more confident in those locations seeing a heavy snow. This is Indiana. Look at that. The NAM shows heavier amounts, 4, maybe even 5-inch locations across Indiana and Ohio and into southern Illinois. Maybe Kentucky, also northern Kentucky, seeing some snow. So definitely a active season for for the bluegrass country already. But let's take a look at another high resolution model, the RDPS. This is a relatively, I think, better than the Canadian or the NAM, to be honest. Notice that it shows lighter amounts across Indiana, Ohio, but again, this will be kind of hit or miss. I do think, though, you could expect some lighter amounts of snow. Notice what we do see is Virginia and North Carolina seeing a bit more with the high resolution models. Still not a lot compared to the scope of what we could see further up north. But notice Charleston 6 to 7 inches with that. Northern Virginia 9-10 inches. Extreme Northern Virginia, Northwestern Virginia. And into Pennsylvania, again, very heavy snow amounts. New Jersey, northern half, obviously seeing more. You could see that cutoff is just pretty painful, to be honest with you. Long Island, a bit of a decrease towards the end with this high resolution model. But again, New York City, seeing pretty heavy snow, JFK, Newark, and southern New York as well. Hartford, 11.2 inches. Boston, 14.8. Providence, 14.5. So a big event if this occurs as forecasted right here, which at this point is becoming more and more likely to do so. Now, let's take a glance at the NAM 3KM continental United States. You can see that what we have is this model is kind of more high resolution, right? So that's why you see a bit more detail with these snowfall amounts. Notice that we see Indiana, Ohio seeing a bit more, again similar to what the NAM 12KM showed, but pockets of very heavy snow across northern Maryland. Again, I don't think this will be the case. And just to let you know, while you're wondering why there's so little snow here, the NAM 3KM cuts this off at 2 a.m. Thursday morning when this thing will still be occurring. I could take you to the radar. Look at that. Very heavy snow bands. I could take a look at the RDPS just to give you a kind of a glimpse at the radar a bit with a more high resolution model. Again, I already showed you the snowfall amounts of this model. I think it does a pretty good job overall. So notice again, tomorrow a pretty beautiful day across the Northeast. It really starts only late Wednesday, and this is really midday Wednesday for some locations. You could see Virginia, there could be some ice. That could be the other deal across North Carolina and Virginia. I kind of glanced over that, to be honest. That's why, again, you have to just use me as one of your many sources. There could definitely be an ice threat for these locations, and that honestly, could be argued. Many people could argue that's a bigger threat. Now, hopefully, it's not going to be as significant as some of the models show, but I think it's still going to get a winter storm warning or ice storm warning. Notice now we see very heavy snow, and this model is showing some sleet mixing in here. That could be possible, but generally it's going to be either rain or snow, not a big icing event. And notice again, this is 6 p.m. Noon, right? This is noon Wednesday. This is now really around 3 p.m. This is at around 6 p.m. in the afternoon. This is around 9, 12, 3 in the morning. Again, that's when the snow bands could peak. Very strong winds. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some blizzard warnings. And this again quickly moves off at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and 12 a.m. off into a bit of portions of Maine. Now let's take a look at the tropical tidbits. The HER model. This is a very high resolution model, right? It goes out only to 48 hours, which is really the only bad thing about it. It doesn't go out far enough, but again, it sacrifices its long-term forecast for its short-term accuracy, or at least that's what we hope. So again, snow obviously across Oklahoma, Kansas. I did briefly mention that towards the beginning. It really seems very weak across the south, right? It doesn't seem like a large system, but it quickly starts, garnishing attention as this pushes towards the mid-Atlantic. Notice snow across Indiana, Ohio. The high resolution model is pretty eminent about showing some pretty heavy snow. Heavy again. This will be light, but I say heavy relative to other models, maybe towards that 3 to 5 inch range versus that 1 to 2 inch range like the European is showing. You can see the high res is showing some sleet, more sleet than freezing rain, which is obviously a good thing, but notice it only goes out this far. But what we can take a look at with this is how much snow will fall across Oklahoma. You could see maybe some pockets of up to half a foot. Again, I would say generally though 3 to 5. Indiana, official forecast is 1 to 2 inches, but I think there could be some pockets of 3 to 4, and obviously the storm hasn't even begun across these locations. For more info of your own, if you want to do this playing around with the models, this is tropicaltidbits.com. This website, right, it gives us a accurate, or relatively accurate timing of that, and then this is Pivotal Weather, which I've been using for much of the video. Now let's take a look at some weather, National Weather Service offices, and take a glance at this. And this is what I wanted to show, because you could see that they're showing most uncertainty in precip type and snow totals across these locations. New Jersey, Atlantic City could, see maybe less than 1 inch or 0 inches. But if this takes a further southward trend, Atlantic City may see 1 to 3, and that's definitely not out of the question. So notice, it really quickly, though, gets pretty heavy. Trenton, 6 to 8, 8 to 12, kind of within that range. Philadelphia, also a pretty good event. I honestly thought Philadelphia was a bit further towards the north. I do apologize if I did mention it seeing some heavier snow earlier, but again, this forecast is constantly changing. Wilmington, again, right on that line, we'll have to see, but obviously as you push towards the north, more consistent high amounts. Allentown, Mount Pocono, apologize if I'm definitely mispronouncing that, 12 to 18 inches. And let's take a look at the overall National Weather Service map. Hopefully this will load relatively quickly. Okay, come on, fingers crossed. Need a new computer, don't I? Alright, so notice that they do have winter storm warnings all the way issued into central Virginia, or almost central Virginia. Again, I do think that the main reason for that is I think that's because of the ice, really, but again, there could be some heavy snow amounts there. Boston, not a winter storm watch yet. Again, there's different models showing different things. Let's take a look at New York and New York City National Forecast Office to show the amounts they have there. Notice pretty high amounts. New York City officially 13 inches forecasted, right? Again, that may go up, might go down. Newark 13, JFK 14, White Plains 16, and you can see generally consistent. The end of Long Island may be a bit, iffy, but that could quickly turn either way. And I do want to emphasize, as the title of the video says, blizzard-like conditions are possible. Whether or not they will issue those blizzard warnings is a bit unknown, but it doesn't really matter whether or not the blizzard warnings will be issued. If it will be blizzard conditions, who cares if the National Weather Service, decides to issue the blizzard warning? It'll still feel like a blizzard if it's close enough, right? It may not meet the specific criteria, but that's obviously still it's gonna be wind-driven snow, right? It's not gonna be a nice calm snow, and that really holds true, especially for the coastal areas. Take a look at Virginia. I want to go to the southern portion of Virginia into northern North Carolina. I want to see how much snow they're forecasting for those locations, because I could, amount basically based off the models, but they always have their own amounts that they forecast for. So let's take a glance at their weather story. This is kind of taking a little while. Okay, and then, so heavy rains this morning. That was the first system. Wintry mix Wednesday. That I should have not clicked on. That was going over the first system. Let's go on to Roanoke. I would say probably maybe 1 to 3 inches, maybe a bit more. 3 to 5 inches. Okay, so you can see Roanoke sees some pretty heavy snow. And again, National Weather Service is your best source. I do apologize if I was quick, a bit undetailed, but again, this is just an overview of a storm that would take a couple of hours to go over in depth. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.